Peace Reflections, Eon, tapping in. Look, I was just scrolling through, watching a reflection. The God, Young Don, peace to the God, you feel me? He was talking about events happening with ICE, right? Tied into with this psyop of the Black Panther Party. And just the whole, if you want to call it political atmosphere, just the whole general atmosphere, because it's beyond politics, it's just the atmosphere of the realm, the energy of the realm, the state of the realm, all the energy circulating right now in the ethers, the airways, right? And we've been talking about this, we've been sounding the alarm, and then people always act so shocked when things actually start to happen. And even the ones who are the first to sound the alarm, like the ones who are ahead of the curve, they can dull us back to sleep if it is that they make it seem like everything's okay long enough, because it could take a while for it actually to seep in. 2020 was when this energy of the cosmos, this divine energy, started seeping into the planet, and this is why they enacted energetic light code lockdown on the planet on a global scale. They already have light code lockdown in all these matrix and cities, carried out through all the technology, all the frequency war, all the things they put around us into our environment and into our bodies and vessels that they understand tampers with our avatars and our planet, right? To genetically modify us and change us into a low vibrational held down state, right? So they've always been doing a light code lockdown by blocking the energy from the higher cosmos that we are naturally supposed to be connected to, and keeping us boxed into this low vibrational physical state, right? Who are supposed to be naturally connected to the streams of high vibrational energies beaming through, of, you know, how good you feel. When any memory you can remember of feeling good is you feeling a surge of high vibrational energy, or just energy, right? You're feeling all this energy, and because life is energy, right? So energy's flowing, and light code is basically another word for frequencies. Light codes, frequencies. Because if you look into the light spectrum, you're talking about the color spectrum, and the ability to absorb colors is just a visual absorption of energy, because it's also, the same way you could see a color, you could hear that color, because hearing it would be the auditory absorption of that same energy. The frequency that color is vibrating at, it has to vibrate at that particular frequency to make it that color, and the visual absorption of that frequency would appear what you would call blue, but then you could hear the frequency resonance of what blue vibrates in, right? And then you can look at that manifest into the materialization of an amethyst crystal that has blue hues within it, because it's vibrating at that frequency to manifest blue within a physical item, material, because this is the science of energy. Physicals are literally just low vibrating energy, and energy is the pure source of life. So pure energy is God, right? The source of life. And then things trickle down from God to create all these planes of energy to live itself. So solids are one of the lowest planes away from God, still connected to life, still connected to God, but it's very low vibrational energy. What I'm trying to say is, we manifest and create everything you see within this solid plane. It's first thought up from the ether, from the imagination, from the mind, right? And that's from a higher plane. You're thinking the pure energy, and then you create the energy into the physical. So this is what I'm saying by life is literally energy, and everything comes from the soul, the mind, right? In the same way that this physical world was crafted by these human beings, they crafted this physical world with physical materials in a low vibrational state, is the same way that my species, who are soul beings who aren't even this body to begin with, designed the actual design of the life itself, the plane. Like, we were designing the trees, nature. Like, we crafted nature the same way they crafted, because we were working with energy the same way. They're using the energy within the energy we created. They're using the energy within the material plane to carve these human beings, these white people, because they're physical beings. So, like I said in a prior video, we are life itself as so-called Blacks, Latinos, a piece of universe, soul, right? These human beings are life that we made within life. So they're within life, but we are life. We are directly connected to life. They are within life, made by life. So they're within the plane that we created. So they're using the resources within this material plane, for they are material beings, low vibrational, low energy material beings. For again, what is material? Low vibrating energy. So these human beings are a low vibrating being. The soul itself is high vibrational energy beaming into a low vibrational solid. But these human beings don't have a soul. We are the soul. We are the soul, period. Fuck the body. That's what makes Blacks, Latinos God to begin with. That's our species, Anunnaki gods and goddesses within soul form, within higher planes, within the cosmos. For soul is your actual body within a higher vibrational state of matter, shedding the physical state of matter. For your physical body is just a coat of physical density, slow vibrating energy put on top of your higher vibrating energy body. I can break this down with science, and I'm tapping in very deeply. I myself am a scientist. My species are scientists. We are the original scientists. For again, we designed that nature. The same way these human beings can use the resources within this material plane to create these cities and towns that we now exist within, is the same way my species actually created the actual nature. We use the energy of life to, the same way we can draw on a page using the mind to think up anything. That's how my species actually create. Blacks, Latinos actually create with actual energy. So we actually created the animals, the trees, the plants, the science of how everything works, how the universe works, the cosmic laws. You feel me? My ancestors, our ancestors, you feel me? And so, within this being said, because we are waking up to the truth of our species, and all these energies are pouring on the planet, they had to put the planet on light code lockdown in 2020. That's what lockdown really was. And that's why there were 3 different words they used. And I'm going to be careful because they will flag these videos, because that's the system we live in. We're living in a system of oppression. We always have. They just disguised it for the past 40 to 50 to 60 years. Literally, we always have. It's just there were different sects of people within white America. They felt in the 1900s, wow, all of my people have always been getting horribly, brutally oppressed. They were living in a whole different world. So while we always were aware of what this world was like and what the system was like, they were getting treated different. So in white America, it was always, the system was, and countries were always made to benefit the human being species, the actual human beings. They're the actual system. I mean, they're the actual citizens of this constitution within the system. Blacks, Latinos have never been citizens of this constitution. They even label us as 3/5 of a human being, but we aren't a human being, period. Human being is a word made within one of their many languages of the human beings called English, which is alphabet made from the alphas given to the betas, and my species are the alphas, for we literally taught these human beings how to write when we were civilizing them. When they came out the Caucasus Mountains in their Neanderthal form, the Moors did. The Moors were the particular group of my species that were given the task to watch over these human beings. That's why they're called the Watchers in the Bible, because they were given the task to watch over the human beings when they came to this planet. When they came to this planet out the Caucasus Mountains, we told the Moors, keep an eye on them. And that's why they're called the Watchers in their Bible. We give all this praise to the Bible, but the Bible was written by the hand of human beings, originating from their King James and their elite kings and you know, all that whole energy of the royals. But we'll give all this praise to it, and we'll use logic for everything else to track the origins of everything else. But then we'll use blind faith and all this energy of the little spiritual energy or any mystical energy we do give credit for life. We give it through that lens of religion, but we don't think life itself can just be magical or have spirituality without it having to be controlled by the white man's religion. Life itself is way more magical and spiritual and energetic than anything you tapped into through religion. And the source of religion is someone sitting down and writing these things to encapsulate the mind of my species. They thought it up. It's logic mixed with linguistic manipulation and deception from the energy of using fallen gods channeled in their vessels of the people writing those books, particularly using the energy of Satan himself, Zeus, right? Because Christianity is just one of many forms of a religion they use to get you to give your energy to your fallen brother, Zeus, Satan. He just renames himself to get you to give your energy to him. He goes by many different names in many different religions. Odin, Zeus. Because originally he just was straight up Zeus in the Greek mythology that these human beings would pray to in their first civilization. When they turned against us, they went right back to praying to Zeus. So that's why in the whole Greek mythology, Zeus is their top god that they pray to. But they make it seem like he's a white man because that's Zeus's creation. So he uses that template to like beam his energy through that avatar of the design of that face of the white man with a beard when you think of God. Because it's funny how the same God in Christianity is exactly the same as Zeus. They're giving you the same image to think of God. And it's a white man with a beard, but really that's Zeus beaming through that energy of that avatar of his creation to absorb all the energy that you're giving to that idol, that totem, because it's like a empty vehicle when you look at that image of that white man with a beard. But Zeus's actual soul, of the actual black carbonated being he is, beams into that energy to absorb all the energy that you're giving through the attention, through all the energy you give through the belief of that image of when you think of God through the lens of that Zeus face. Because really, let's just call it what it is. Because that Zeus face, even though that's not, again, it's not what Zeus actually looks like. He looks like our species. And if he was to incarnate, he would look like a black man. A so-called black man. But the face they give you within Greek mythology looks identical. It's literally because it is the same. It's not identical. It is the same person that they're showing you when they show you. If you look up right now, God. If you look up right now, God, that man that pops up is Zeus. But not actually Zeus. But Zeus using that face to absorb your energy. Because that, again, the white man is his creation. So it makes sense that he would use that energy to present himself. Because he himself is ego, and so the white man, unless he chooses to tap in the human being species, they're naturally in a state of ego, because they don't even have a soul. They only have a spirit, and their spirit will be ego dominant within an ego consciousness, disconnected from nature, right? This is why they're so out of tune with everything else around them, because they think they're the only thing that's the most important in life, and this is why they treat blacks and Latinos, my species, so poorly, naturally, beyond racism, because racism is the word they code it with, but that's really the way they treat everything around them. Because think about it, these human beings are raping the whole planet to stay alive. They shoot and hunt and brutalize animals and feast upon their carcasses, and taught my recent generations to do the same when we used to protect the animals, and really our origins is we made the animals. My ancestors, of my ancestors, made the animals, and the ancestors after the ancestors that made the animals were in the forest protecting the animals within the Anunnaki god and Atlantean species we were. You think we're going to create all these different species and then carnalize and eat them? Everything is energy. We don't need to eat a body to get the energy through the body. We made actual things that are the things that we made to eat, which are fruits and plants. That's what we made for you to get your edible energy from if you want to eat something to gain energy. Because really we're supposed to get energy from the sun, from life, being out in the air. There's way more ways to get energy. And eating is just a way of absorbing energy. Again, everything is energy, and you could break down the science of eating the same way I broke down the science of the solid plane, because what are solids? Again, low vibrating energy. So when you eat, you burn up that solid through the gases in your stomach, right? In your body, you have all four states of matter. You have solid, you have liquid, you have gas, and you have plasma energy, which is your soul, right? And you have the ether, right? And that's as within, so without, because that's the 4 or 5 states of vibrational matter that exist within this plane of existence of Atlantis, within the planet Kai. We have the solids, we have the liquid plane, we have the gas plane, and we have the plasma energy, which comes from the sun, right? When solids vibrate a little bit faster, they become liquids. When liquids vibrate faster, they become gas, right? And it's funny how in your stomach and in your body, you have that science within you to burn up these solids, to then first you chew them and they become almost like a liquid already. Then they travel down to your stomach and you burn the rest of whatever the solids exist within the chewed up liquid state. And then you fully make them into a liquid, and then it becomes just a straight up gas that would be considered all these energy particles, they tell you, right? Because all these things that they would call molecules, chemicals, when you get into the atomic plane, where you start looking at all these particles, like the super zoomed in, like how life is all those floating little energy particles, because everything is energy, but then they'll just give titles to that the same way they divide us. Funny how they do that, right? They call some of us Puerto Ricans, some of us Haitians, but we're all the same. They call some of the energy particles chemicals, and some of the other energy particles atoms, and some of the other energy particles cells. I mean, it does work, though, because we're actually trying to differentiate different categories, so it's the actual title. Like, you feel me? So in that case, it actually does it, because we need to actually be able to figure. But it's all energy is what I'm trying to say, right? And that's a whole plane of existence that exists. So when you tap into that level, you can break down why it is that we even eat solids to begin with, when it is that we fell down to this low vibrational state, because we're just absorbing energy in a low vibrational state, when it is that when we're in a high vibrational state, we can absorb energy through higher vibrational means. You feel me? But it's all an absorption of energy. You feel me? And when we chew up solids, we break it down into a gas state to where we absorb all the energy within it. It's all energy. And so if you can just tap into the ether, which is gas itself, which is direct life force, this is why breatharians are a real thing. And I, as an Aquarius, have a natural connection to the air that I need to really build upon and really tap into even deeper, to where I should really go on air fasts, where I'm just going on multiple days eating the air. Because when I cleanse out my body from eating all the food, I can breathe a lot clearer. And then I start reaching a state where I start feeling like I'm eating this energy in the air that's filling my whole body, my mind. It's like filling me with real energy that I'm running on through what's in the air. And it's a higher vibrational state of consciousness where I'm literally, when you breathe in the air, it's putting you in those meditative states. I'm getting the upload now. I'm literally tuning into a high vibrational state when it's that I'm running on the air, because air itself is what I'm tuning into when I meditate, and through when I'm breathing in very deeply and absorbing that energy that exists in the air. Those energies in the air is what opens up my third eye, and which opens up all the chakras within my body, which opens up my heart chakra, which opens up my throat chakra. I'm just letting myself flow. So we're going to do this from now on. I'm not even playing, I'm not performing. This is just actual flow. This is actual genuine flow. This is channeling. So through the energy in the air that exists, I'm opening up my chakras, because it's literally putting me into those higher vibrational states to reach a higher state of consciousness to begin with. And that was one of the initial sparks that even started to wake me up, when it is that in 2020 I started to have this initial, if you want to call it, spiritual awakening, because within that awakening I started to meditate for the very first time. And I became aware of my breath in a way that I never was before, because I never thought to be, because they never even tell us about ourselves, our life. Most of us are in that shallow state of consciousness that I have to realize that most people are still within, but I start to rise from. So I'm in a whole different state of reality and state of frequency and consciousness that I have to realize most people are still in that initial box in the state that I lived in most of my whole life, from 15, from like 0 to 15, right? Even though, like, 0 to 6, you're very tapped in as a kid. They just do all this shit to fill you with these poisons to fuck up your organs, your body, and your body's actual divine genetics and actual function to be able to actually run at higher octaves of higher frequency, to where we can have things of what they would call photographic memory. But photographic memory is actually a natural possession of my species that I've tapped into through when I've gone multiple days eating only fruits, because then I cleanse out all the toxins in my body, to where I feel so alive and so in the present moment and so connected to everything I do, and I don't get drugged out by eating the food, because as soon soon as I eat the food, it changes the whole way my body feels, and it's literally like I hop through a whole portal to where I literally feel like a whole different person from the hour before I ate the man-made food to after, to where I literally, everything shifts in my mind, my memory, my body, my everything, because it's biological chemical warfare. The food is the biggest weapon. It's the biggest way they're shaping and changing my species. My species are a whole nature being. Nature itself is a whole divine thing that they're doing all this shit to kill, but nature itself heals, and everything we get from nature is beautiful, even down to the cannabis we're smoking. But then we're so much in an ego-ignorant state that most of us don't even question the source of all these things that we take for granted, like cannabis, which itself is a herb and a plant, but then they will ignore the preachers of nature like I, who try to awaken us to the actual truth of our planet, which is what they call nature. But that's just a title they placed upon her, but it's just the actual planet itself, and we come from what the planet is, and we are the most divine, high vibrational, intelligent species of this planet, so-called Blacks, Latinos, and the real name of our species is Anunnaki gods, and these human beings were made in our image by our fallen brother Zeus. This is what we're awakening to. It's truth. It's divine truth. This is the eons of truth. This is what I came here to do. Not sell my soul to the system, when it is that everything I can buy with the money in that system is poison. Because the fruits have seeds in it to grow in the land. All that shit that comes in that box is poison, and I can't grow it in the ground. That's how you know you shouldn't be fucking eating it. Can't even grow in the ground. You put what you're about to eat, put it in the ground, and I bet you it's going to kill everything around it. Most of the animals don't even eat all these man-made foods. If you noticed it, the food in America has gotten so engineered, the ants don't even go near some of the food we put on the ground. The ants used to eat, when you put an apple on the ground, everything starts to eat it. Some of these foods you put on the ground, maybe meat, but the meat's fucking disgusting. But it's funny because actually, that's how they're actually poisoning the whole planet as well, because the animals have been poisoned as well, the plants have been poisoned as well, through all the horrible, what they call pollutants they're releasing. They're doing that on purpose, because they don't belong to this planet, and these elites are just running this system to drain the resources in this planet. That's the real reason they're trashing the whole planet, and they don't actually give a fuck. Because they want to kill us off, and they want to kill the planet, and they aren't a part of my species, Blacks, Latinos. They're a whole low vibrational ego species made by our fallen brother, who are carrying out the very thing they were designed to do. Most of these human beings are operating in that ego energy within the genetics they were programmed with, and then some are able to break away from Zeus, some are able to break away from that genetic control program within them, and then they naturally connect to life, and then you see they start connecting to nature very deeply. Because one thing about a human being who can tap into life, when they start to tap into life, they are fucking die hard about that shit. Like, they be some of the most spiritual people. Especially human being woman, because the human being woman gets her energy from the black woman, and the black woman is the divine feminine, the direct manifestation of source within the physical, the most powerful energy. But, you know, gods are equal to her as well. We are equally powerful. Don't get it misconstrued. I'm just saying that she's the source of us. So, as powerful as the gods are, the source of us has to be powerful as fuck. As powerful as the divine masculine is, as the so-called Black Latino man within this physical plane is, but our cosmic name again is Anunnaki gods. We've been retitled within this physical plane, within these human being systems. Down here we're called Black Latino, but in nature we're Anunnaki gods, and in the cosmos we're Anunnaki gods. They're running a whole experiment on this planet. This is why they're all in their science labs doing all this shit. And everything they tell you is a fraction of what they do. And they already tell us that they're able to basically manipulate everything down to its most atom. They can clone shit. They can create plants. They study everything. You want to know why? Because they aren't from this planet. And they only live in the physical, so they use their physical tools to the best they can. So that's why there's different realms of physicality, to where there are higher forms of physical, even within the physical plane, to where things like, for example, a nuke exists. But people had to invent a nuke, right? So everything is energy, but even within the physical plane, there's levels to this shit, right? So this is why they can create things like a 3D printer machine. Because that's a form of higher vibrational physical technology. Because everything is energy. But these human beings are operating from an artificial, technological, disconnected from nature, because Zeus himself is the first one to step outside of nature. He disconnected from first the divine feminine and second nature, everything to do with nature. He operates through the cold and through technology. They showed you this in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that released in like 2022. If you notice, all the movies past 2020 have gotten very deep and very spiritual, because it's aligned with the energy of what's happening on the planet. That's the energy now. So they have to expose the truth to you, because the truth is being revealed regardless, because we're in the age of Aquarius, that which I come from, which is why I'm even here. That's why I'm an Aquarius, because it's all divinely aligned. I knew we were going in the age of Aquarius. I am an Aquarius myself. And it's funny because I'm actually the first day of Pisces in Western astrology, but then in Eastern astrology, which they say is a more accurate, aligned scope of the stars, where the months are a little bit varied, I'm actually in Aquarius. February is in Aquarius in the Eastern mythology, but it's the first day of Pisces in Western mythology. But then either way, I'm a combination of both energies, because I'm literally the very first day of Pisces in Western mythology, February 20th. February 19th, if I was born on February 19th, which I think my sister's brother is, Little Mike, I think he's either February 19th or like February 18th. He's in Aquarius. But I vibrate with him very strongly outside of his ego consciousness, because within his ego, he thinks he's a person called Little Mike. But little does he know, the soul he is, the consciousness he is the actual being. You have to be reminded of your name, period. You always snap back into the real identity of what you are before you even think, oh, I'm Ayante, I'm Alicia, I'm Megan. I'm just using names of people I know, right? Or I'm Bob, I'm Sophia, right? These are ego identities, but your actual consciousness that's what you are, your consciousness, right? The energy you are, the energy field. We are supreme energy fields of intellect and consciousness. That's what we are as a soul. The highest vibrational form of it, right? Divine creators that have created everything in existence. Because literally everything comes from the mind. The same way we thought up everything, the same way these human beings, they didn't really think up everything. Because, again, they're like physical beings, so they can just craft within the physical. So, really, what they did within this physical world is not that impressive at all if you really start to tap in. It's really savage and primitive, sitting in this cave house right here, disconnected from the energy outside in the ether way. They don't even know how to make because they don't want to either. Anyway, being outside makes them uncomfortable because they aren't natural to the habitat of this planet. That's why they can't feed on the sun. That's why they don't like being out in nature. That's why they don't like bugs. They don't like the animals. They don't like anything. But my people can literally connect and command those kingdoms. We can command the insect kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, because we are literally the gods of this whole planet and the gods of the cosmos. For God is just a title placed upon us when the consciousness we are manifests in any embodiment of being in a localized form. Because before we step into an avatar, we are the energy of everything around us. We are inside everything. I am that I am. But then I can choose to step into an avatar to be within myself, to interact with the room around me. But before I'm in a body, I'm everything around me. You get what I'm trying to say? Because I'm energy. So, we are literally the centerpiece and center point of everything and this planet. And that's why it is that until the Black and Latino has fully risen again into our sovereignty and have no longer are being abused and oppressed, the planet itself, it's all a reflection. The same way we're in a impoverished, littered, diseased state is the same way the planet is looted, polluted. It's literally a reflection. And things aren't going to be good until particularly the black woman herself is placed on her throne. The black Latina woman. Because she is the goddess of nature, the queen of nature, and the whole planet is nature. So once it is that she sits on her throne, she is Mother Nature, literally. But Mother Nature is her own entity, but the black Latina woman within the divine feminine is her own. We're all connected, but the divine feminine is literal source consciousness. So when a black Latina woman wakes up, it's like we are all like the black Latino man has to connect to source, and then we can like be disconnected from source. But the black Latina woman is source herself, and we are source ourselves as well, created from source. And I'm trying to use my words very, very like wisely, because we're literally all the same. I am God the same way the black Latina woman is God. I am the universe the same way she is the universe. But because it's the mother universe and source is feminine, and the source of everything is feminine, and masculine comes from the feminine, the Y chromosome comes from the X chromosome, we're just missing a few chromosomes to make the man. You're literally the same as the woman, just missing a few chromosomes, right? We all start off as a woman in the fetus, in the fetus state. So, and then we can switch over to become a man if we have more masculine energy that seeps into that body when it is that we're in the womb, and if it is that our soul itself is divine masculine, right? Because you have divine feminine souls and divine masculine souls, right? Because on a higher plane, it isn't even necessarily gender. Gender comes from when you step into an avatar, but it's more so determined by what your energy is. So it's a higher form of gender. It's still gender, but your soul is either divine masculine energy or divine feminine energy, which is the true source of gender to begin with. So within the physical plane, it manifests as being a man or a woman. But what energy you are determines that. And you always are that energy from your moment of creation. So you're either a divine masculine or a divine feminine soul. And you always have been and always will be within all your incarnations, right? And that's why they even promote the whole transgender agenda, because they're getting you to be duped into identifying with the physical and not even understanding the nature of life. And because they're rotting us from the inside out and genetically modifying us from the inside out. And the food is like, it's like we're losing our identity from the inside out. Everything's being polluted. So then it makes sense why a lot of us have an identity crisis, to be so disconnected to life, to then think the answer is, oh, let me change my gender. And I'm not saying it's a mental illness, because mental illness isn't even what mental illness is, because that's a word placed upon the actual source of what's happening. Mental illness is just one manifestation of your body being filled with all these horrible energies and it seeping into your mind. Like, once they pollute your body enough, it's going to seep into your mind. You get what I'm trying to say? And that's the real source of a lot of the most horrible shit. They don't want to tell you that that your violent behavior and aggression is linked to directly what you put into your body and absorb. There's a source for everything. Things aren't just here mysteriously for no reason. Things don't just happen randomly. Most people who are sick, who do sick things, have been eating sick shit, absorbing sick shit, in a sick state. They're literally sick. Like, actually, you know how it is when you're sick? Like, you have a sickness? Yeah. People get so sick that they start getting mentally sick. Think about it. The whole world's sick. They have all our people sick. Even the poor class white people. Because it's beyond race. They always treated the poor class white people like shit. They just give y'all a little bit more benefits within the system. Because the system and the countries were made for the human being species, like I said in the beginning of this video. When they talk about citizens, they're talking about their human beings, white people. Y'all are the citizens. Blacks, Latinos are just within this system. We're within a system that's been made on our planet, but we want to be in our nature. Little do we know it, whether we're aware of it or not. Because our body wants it, whether our consciousness of ego, because a lot of us, they gave us this ego to chase the material within, what do they call it? The American dream, because it's a fucking dream. It's not real. It's an illusion within the material ego world. That's when you wake up from the American dream, you realize that really America is a parasite that's draining the whole planet, and the whole planet has been poor and raped, and all these countries outside of America are suffering for what? For a few people, for a few elites to actually be able to have the money at the top, but most of the people in America don't even actually feel good. You know, most of the people out in the other countries actually are connected to the real, what life really is. Sure, they don't have the material, but a lot of them have the land, one, so they actually do have the material in a different way. They actually own what they have. But then two, they have the actual energy of they actually feel good in life. Like they're super vibrant, alive. They have the actual energy of life. But all of us here in America, we're being duped and we're on a zombie asleep state. Being like programmed, mentally asleep zombies. Like, we're literally all under a spell in America. We're literally under a spell. That's why they call it movie magic. That's why Hollywood is Hollywood, because it's literally coming from the holly tree, the wood of the holly tree. And if you look up what the holly tree is, it's literally said to be a tree where wizards, Gnostics, and people who practice the mystical arts would craft their wands from. They used the bark of that tree to perform magic. And the holly tree, I live in a town called Mount Holly, on the opposite side of Los Angeles. Literally, because New Jersey is on the direct opposite side of America. Los Angeles is literally kind of on the other side of where New Jersey is, but a little bit lower. And it's funny how they have Hollywood and Los Angeles on that opposite side of this what they want to call country. But the Hollywood, there's many different trees that are very powerful. Not just the holly tree, but that's a very powerful tree. And magic is, I was talking about how magic is a science of life. Magic is nature science. Magic is the science of understanding how to put your intent into all the different planes of matter and existence and communicate with everything around you to actually change and mold and shape the environment around you. Because everything is energy. So if you start to tap into that deeper and deeper and deeper, you understand that you yourself are the thing that's shooting all the vibrations into everything around you to shape the room and the environment around you. It is said in science, they always contemplate, they would have the debate of, if no one hears the tree doesn't make a sound. It's basically been confirmed that without you to be there, there's no such thing as a sound, because you're the point of life. Life is there, but if we aren't there to be in life, then what's the point of life? It would just be an empty room. This is what I'm trying to get at when I say we are the most aware, high vibrational form of intelligence. We are the source of intelligence itself. We are intelligence itself. That then created everything in life as souls, right? And this planet is a nature planet beyond this concrete jungle that was made. So this is like a plant planet. We have many different planets. Some planets are mostly composed of water. That's where the dolphins come from. They're actually an extraterrestrial race called sorry if I get this wrong. They're either the Nagas or the Nogos, or the Dogon. They're one of those, right? And they're literally, because they're in their actual other forms, they actually look what they will call humanoid, but that's really the God physique. And that's the whole point of the God physique, because we're the original beings of having two arms on the side, a head on top, two legs on the bottom. But then we made many different extraterrestrial races, my ancestors, within this form. So dolphins actually come from ancestors on their actual planet that were standing upright, some of them. They come from a planet composed mostly of water. That's really why dolphins are so intelligent. They won't tell you that. Dolphins are basically almost kind of like our cousins of the Anunnaki god species within the water. Whales and dolphins. Let me not forget whales, right? Whales as well, right? Both of them. So, with that being said, this planet does have oceans from our ancestor, from the Titan Ocean. But the planet itself, Planet Kai, she's a plant planet. This is made to be a plant planet. That's why it's filled with nature. That's why it's all one big jungle. Before they carved into it all their cities and towns and started tearing up all the jungle, all the nature. The planet is supposed to be all nature. And we're supposed to live in the planet, on the land. Our type of civilizations were a way more advanced type of civilization to where because having to make a world where you have to kill nature in order to, like, not being